God of War 6. We need to talk about some things, my friends. New leaks, rumors, there's a lot out there, plus some new confirmations as well. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. And some of this stuff is wild. I mean, if you thought Kratos' journey ended nearly, or neatly, I would say, after Ragnarok, not the case. Now, we are going to talk about where our favorite God Slayer is going to go, the new mythology, the new pantheon. We all know where all red arrows are pointing, but we're going to talk about more than that. We're going to talk about a potential new weapon for Kratos that could actually practically confirm where he's heading. We'll talk about that later. And I do want to say, I read all your comments. I read them on the last God of War 6 video. I get it. A lot of you had strong opinions on where the series should go, from those who aren't sold on us having an Atreus-led game to those who really want a particular mythology next. So I hear you guys. Today, I'm going to take all that into account. We're going to go through the latest news, credible leaks, all of it about God of War 6. And hang around, because there could be some interesting stuff when it comes to speculative twists that involve actually returning to an old Kratos stomping ground. Drop a like, make sure you guys are subscribed as always, and let's start off with what we know. Is God of War 6 actually in development? Well, officially Santa Monica Studio hasn't come out and said, hey, we're making God of War 6 yet. But we have some pretty strong evidence that the new God of War project is already underway. In fact, eagle-eyed fans spotted multiple job listings this year on Sony Santa Monica's career page that basically gave it away. For example, they advertised for a senior combat designer, explicitly said they want candidates familiar with the combat design of God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok 2022. I mean, they literally mentioned the last two God of War games by name in the job requirements. If that's not a hint, I don't know what is. Even gaming news outlets reported that these job openings are heavily indicating the studio is working on a new God of War title. So yeah, we already knew. Kratos isn't done. The next installment is gearing up behind the scenes, even if we don't have an official title or announcement yet. Now, when might we actually get it? Well, I want to temper your expectations. The gap between major God of War releases has been large. So remember, there's about 5 years between God of War 2018 and 2022's Ragnarok. Those felt long enough too. Some reports have speculated we might not see God of War 6 until around 2028 if the development cycle is similar to last time. I know it sounds like forever, but it's actually not. There was a mention of a shorter gap, maybe 3 years. I don't see that happening anymore in the gaming industry. Even the source that noted it said it's less likely. This is a modern AAA huge game. So I mean, Santa Monica's not going to rush it. These games keep getting bigger and more ambitious. They're going to take all the time they need. And one thing is to remember, that Santa Monica Studio has multiple projects cooking right now. They've even confirmed they're working on a brand new, technically ambitious IP, which is totally separate from God of War. It's also rumors they have several unannounced projects in the pipeline. So what does that mean for us? Well, their team's attention is split. They're not 100% all in on God of War 6 alone. Plus, Sony has more other big PlayStation titles in the works that could release first. So that might actually push Kratos back a little farther. Now, I know some of you are already asking me, Jimmy, will God of War 6 be on PS5 or PS6? It's a good question. Given the timeline, if we're really looking at late this decade, it could end up launching on the tail end of the PS5's life cycle, or even be better, a PlayStation 6 launch title, which makes sense to me. It really depends on what console arrives. Some fans on Reddit have pointed out that the PS6 is likely coming around 2027 to 2028, so God of War 6, it could straddle the generations, perhaps launching on PS5, but then shining really big on the new hardware. It's all speculation, but it makes sense. And the bottom line is, God of War 6 is happening, even if quietly. Development is happening right now. I mean, we saw the job listings. We know the internal talk, but we're in for a wait. I would like to be wrong and have it sooner, but realistically, I mean, you need to keep your eyes on 2029. I really, really feel that way. Now, let's talk about the fun part, get past all that. Which world, which pantheon do we get to go to? Where are Kratos and Atreus going? Well, Ragnarok concluded the Norse saga with the Norse gods. Let's just say they were humbled by the end, and the game very much wrapped up that chapter. But it also dropped some hints that other mythologies exist out there. Remember the little teases in both God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, symbols of other pantheons, stories mentioned about far-off lands. The developers were basically winking at us that Kratos' world is much bigger than Midgard and Greece. And I think there was even a conversation between him and Odin talking about his old Greek stomping grounds, right? And we all know the hottest one, Egyptian mythology. That's where everybody's pointing, right? So I want to break it down for you guys here. Insider leaks. There was a well-known insider, Daniel Rickman, Daniel RPK, claimed on his Patreon that the next God of War will feature an Egyptian mythology setting. He even mentioned that Sony was casting Middle Eastern actors for an unannounced AAA game, strongly hinting it was God of War. So casting calls looking for actors of Middle Eastern descent. That's a big action-adventure Sony game. Yeah, it screams Egyptian god art to me. There was another insider. We also have information from Tom Henderson, who I trust explicitly. Very reputable leaker. You might know him from Insider Gaming. He talked about the next God of War on a podcast and dropped a detail. Kratos may wield a brand new weapon, a curved Egyptian sword. So according to Henderson, Kratos is going to get his hands on something like an Egyptian, I don't know how to say this, Kopesh? That sickle-shaped type sword in the mainland game. I mean, that's cool. I mean, hearing that immediately makes me picture Kratos in some ancient tomb or desert facing off against whoever, Anubis, Ra, and he has that in his hands. I mean, Henderson's info also implied something important. If Kratos is getting an Egyptian weapon, that strongly suggests we'll be in ancient Egypt for the next saga, right? I mean, why would you give the ghost of Sparta a weapon from Egypt unless we're going to be fighting Egyptian gods? That makes no sense, right? We had the axe for Norse vibe, kind of parallels. New mythology, new signature weapon. Let's go. And then, I mean, it wouldn't be coming out of nowhere. Corey Barlog, the series director from 2018's game, even mentioned in the past that after Norse, he was considering Egyptian or Mayan mythology for future games. I mean, in fact, early in God of War 2018's development, the team almost went with Egypt instead of Norse. There's even concept art out there showing Kratos in Egyptian settings. And now they chose Norse, and it was the right way to go. But the Egyptian idea has been floating around the studio for years, so don't be shocked at all if they dust off the old Egyptian concept art and they make them a reality. They planted those seeds like 8 years ago. I mean, Egypt's Eye of Ra, little Easter eggs, stuff like that. I think that's where we're going. It's the front runner, and it's the one with the most concrete leaks behind it, but it's not the only possibility. The God of War universe could really go anywhere, mythology-wise. So let's talk about a few others here, and you give me your ideas in the comment section, or your opinion. Celtic mythology. So close your eyes and imagine Kratos in the lands of druids and Celtic gods. There's a few references to other pantheons like the Celtic in the game, and the Celtic lore has some cool figures. Not as much evidence to point toward this one, but a portion of the community finds it intriguing. I mean, we're talking Kratos versus the likes of Baelor, Morrigan. I mean, that would be cool. Then, Japanese or Chinese mythology. Less talked about, but there's a lot of rich lore in the East Asian mythologies. This is more of a fan wish list, I think, at this point. I haven't seen any leaks on this, but picture Kratos squaring off against the Japanese kami or Chinese dragons. That would be pretty cool. And then the other one is the Mayan Aztec mythology. This did get hinted by Barlog's comment. Mayan was on his list. So an Aztec or Mayan setting, that would be wild. Jungles, pyramids, things like that. That would be really, really cool. I would like to see Kratos in that environment, to be honest with you. And I know everything's pointing toward Egypt, and that's probably where we're going, but I do like to talk about them. They could surprise us. They could do whatever they want. One thing's for sure, Ragnarok's ending, it opened the door for Kratos to leave the Norse lands. He essentially is a free agent once again, a god without a homeland, which is the perfect setup for him to wander into a new mythology's territory uninvited, cause problems as he does, and then of course we have Atreus off on his own journey. We'll talk about that in a second. So Kratos might be alone on this one. And I want to do a quick poll here. Which mythology do you want to see Kratos tackle? Egypt, so you're talking Anubis, Ra pyramids, Celtic forest, I mean, return to a Greek setting? Where you guys want to go? I mean, all signs point to Egypt, but we can still talk about it. Now, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Well, actually, the small elephant in the room himself, Loki. Loki, right? We've got Atreus. I mean, or Loki. Whatever he wants to fit into. At the end of Ragnarok, he sets off on his own journey to find the remaining giants. Remember the whole giant story reveal? So Kratos stays behind in the Norse realm to guide the survivors. The ending left it a bit open-ended. Father and son parting ways, each with their own purpose. So naturally, fans are asking, will the next game star Kratos, Atreus, or both of them? Are we going to be playing as the Ghost of Sparta, or are we going to take control of his son? And I'll be up front. Most of the rumors point toward Kratos still being the main playable character in God of War 6, which makes sense. It's a safe route. Job listings and leaks, they all kind of assume a continuation of Kratos' story. You can't really have God of War without Kratos leading it, right? I don't think they're going to be ditching him. He is the franchise. That doesn't mean that his son is out of the picture. In fact, one insider speculated that he could play a massive role in kickstarting the next plot. Basically, something involving him might be what gets Kratos to spring back into action. So what could make Kratos leave his peaceful God of War turned hero of the people type gig and go to another land? Messing with his kid? Yeah. I mean, one article put it, how else do you get a dad to grab his axe and go to war beyond putting his kid in danger? That's all they would have to do, right? There's also a lot of talk, both in my comments on the last video and the community, about a potential Atreus standalone game or DLC. We talked about this. Some of you are split. I saw comments saying, give us a full game. That would be cool. I saw comments saying, no thanks. I only want to play as Kratos. It's not God of War if we don't. I mean, it's a valid debate. I mean, Atreus' gameplay in Ragnarok was fun for some players, offered a more agile, magic-infused style compared to Kratos' heavy hits, so maybe imagine a game built around him, around Loki, involving shape-shifting, archery, dialogue choices. It would be fun. I know it's not what everybody wants, but I do want to know kind of what your guys' vibe is on that. Now, let's talk about the latest leaks about the spin-off game, okay? Going in a different direction. It's not an Atreus solo adventure, but something else. And it seems Santa Monica's plan for a side project isn't about him at all, which kind of shocked me because I reported that I thought it was. So where does that leave him? I mean, he'll be a key NPC. Oh God, he's just going to be an NPC or a secondary playable character in God of War 6 main campaign. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, Kratos and his relationship is the heart of the series right now. Ragnarok gave them a beautiful arc. So I don't really know where they go. And I really don't know what the audience's expectations are for that, to be honest with you. So we talked earlier about new weapons. Let's talk about abilities. I mentioned it earlier, the Egyptian sword. If we are going into Egyptian mythology, I think it makes sense that we'd see some mythologically appropriate gear. The Norse games gave Kratos his axe, which was Norse in flavor, even brought back the Blades of Chaos to remind us of his Greek past. So for Egypt, let's get a new signature weapon, a curved blade that's completely different as a fighting style, not as brutal, more sweeping. That would be a ton of fun. But what else? What could we see? Maybe the Staff of Ra. That was a magical staff for casting light and fire. We could see artifacts, new amulets, relics, all that give Kratos powers that are themed to kind of where we're at. I don't think his axe is going to go anywhere. I don't think Kratos drops the axe at all, so he'll have that as well. I mean, mechanics are the same too. If Atreus is playable for sections, archery, agility, shape-shifting magic, all that stuff, they were all a hit in Ragnarok. So why not bring them back? The tag team mechanic, yeah. Co-op multiplayer, that would be kind of crazy if we could actually have a co-op mode where one player controls Kratos and the other controls his son. You could simultaneously challenge, switch back and forth. I know we're getting very, very out there now, but whatever. What about open world and exploration? Each God of War in the new era has got more expansive. 2018 introduced that Metroidvania light exploration in the Lake of Nine. Ragnarok blew it up further. You had realms like Vanaheim. You had the almost open world zones with tons of side quests. I think that trend is going to continue, especially with technology, larger areas, and even more open world envelopments. If we're in Egypt, think about it. A desert region to explore, the pyramids, the Sphinx, all of that. I mean, I think they're going to go even bigger. And I think the bosses, we're going to get bigger and badder bosses. We always do. And if they go Egypt, the roster's stacked. Anubis, Sobek, which is a giant crocodile god. You got a lioness goddess. You've got Ra. It's good. The Pantheon is ripe for Kratos. So there we go. You guys let me know what you think. I do expect them to build on Ragnarok's foundation, also like the over-the-shoulder cinematic camera, RPG elements, armor crafting, all that good stuff, the skill trees. I don't see any reason why not. Ragnarok is beloved by most. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And then I did tease at the beginning, the Greek spin-off. A spin-off game that actually takes us back to Kratos' roots. It's interesting. I guess we can touch on it for a minute. So the rumor is Sony Santa Monica is working on a smaller scale God of War project set in ancient Greece. It's a prequel or a spin-off to the main series. It's said to be a 2.5D Metroidvania style game. So think side-scroller adventure. Think Castlevania Metroid, but in the God of War universe. It would focus on a younger Kratos before the original God of War trilogy. So in other words, it might actually show us how Kratos became the Ghost of Sparta, dive into the lore of his early days, serving Ares, or even events with his brother, right? I mean, one report specifically mentioned that this prequel spinoff would feature Kratos' brother prominently and explore their backstory. And it would be in a fresh new gameplay style. 2.5D, we don't get that very often. So this would not be God of War 6. This would be a separate title. Shorter game, meant to tide fans over until we get the next big installment, which is what these companies do now. Remasters, remakes, something like this to bridge the gap between the big ones. I think it would be cool. I would like it. I don't know when we'll get it. I mean, they've talked about it, but could be 2026. It's going to be a lot easier to make. Of course, it's a side scroller, so who knows? We'll see. Maybe they shadow drop it on us and they don't even give us any marketing for it at all. But the good news is God of War's in good hands. God of War 6 is being worked on. We're probably going to get that spin-off game. I think there's one more other project out there. I don't think we're getting an Atreus standalone game. I know some of you wanted it. Most of you pushed back on it, so that's probably not going to happen. I will keep you guys updated if anything new breaks. I'll see you soon.